They're gonna get offices, and
Okay.
we didn't have enough offices out there yet.
Gotcha. But
There will be an expansion at some point.
Yeah,
Because
we
right now-
are, we're actually just starting that discussion right now because our permitted capacity is 0.9 million gallons per day, and we're at 400,000 gallons per day right now. So, which 0.4 to 0.9. So usually DEP starts pushing on you for a plan once you get to about 2/3 capacity. So we're starting to approach that. We know, like right now, we have 100 homes under construction. And that's what's already started. That's what we have temporary meters on. So we have a lot more going in the ground. So we know that that number is gonna continue to go quick. So we're actually gonna start shortly proactively discussing expansion plans.
And the true expansion
This is the
would
new
be-
expansion right here that we just did. You see this building here?
Yeah.
That's the new portion we just put on.
So when you say expansion, it would be whole new wastewater, whole new
We would put
these
some-
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for the water side, the way the water plant is built is we can actually, all we have to do is add a whole new skid, a whole new train. So like what we saw in the video of how RO works, we have 2 of those. And everything's there, we literally just set a new one in next to it, and we can increase that capacity by at least 30%, or at least 50%. And then we can actually, technology's changed a little bit, so we can actually put a little bit bigger one in there. So the water plant, the initial upgrade on the water plant would be relatively easy, it wouldn't take a whole lot. The upgrade on the wastewater plant, our concern is with the current regime in Tallahassee, we see that the regulations are getting more and more and more stringent. So what we do right now is not what we call AWT, advanced water treatment, which that's usually only required places that discharge to like a river or, open water. We speculate that that's probably gonna be coming for everywhere soon, just based on some of the stuff that Governor DeSantis has been asking DEP to provide for him. So when we start on this expansion, depending on what the regulatory climate is at the time, is gonna determine what we really do there. We have enough stuff next to it that we can just build a brand new, exactly what we have. But if we have to go and be, have tighter compliance restrictions, we can add to what we have and make that work as well. Part of the benefit of us all being different places and seeing different things, one of my last projects that I had with Severn Trent was I got shipped down to Marathon when they had a similar thing happen in Monroe County, where they said everybody in Monroe County has to meet these standards. And they had a company in there that couldn't, they did all the work to the plants, but they couldn't meet the standards. So then they hired us and went down there and we got those all, what they call 5531 standards, which are the most stringent in the world. I had 3 of the 5 most heavily regulated plants in the state at the time, and we got them. It took us 8 months, but we got them to where they were running better than the engineer said they would be able to run. So I've had experience with those AWD plants and stuff. Jason has had tons of experience with that stuff. So having the crew that we have that kind of come from that background, it really helps, so we know what shortcuts we can take, and where when they say you gotta spend this to make this happen, we know that I can operate it this way and make it work this way and stuff like that. Cause it really is, it's like, basically raising fish in an aquarium, so what I do for my saltwater aquarium is not what I would do for my freshwater aquarium, or if I have large fish or a terrarium with turtles, that's not gonna be what I'm doing for my guppy ponds, so you just gotta understand what you need at the end, and once you've been around long enough, you've had to deal with all of those. Actually, our school plants, our 4 wastewater plants we deal with for Collier County pollution, or Collier County Public Schools, they are AWT plants. So, we're already operating AWT style plants. So, it's just a matter of figuring out what's the requirement's gonna be when we start the expansion, once we get to that magic number, and then move on from there. So any other questions while we're talking?
I have one. So, water bottles. I I heard years ago on the news, they're not regulated the same as tap water, they don't have the same regulations.
This is Tim's favorite thing to talk about. I'll let you take this one.
Recently, I also heard there's like microplastic things in them, but they don't know if it's harmful, but there's microplastics or something.
Sure, there's
Is it-
they don't even
what
have
would
to tell
you
you, they don't even have to tell you
drink?
where they get the water that they put in this.
That's what I
It's
heard, it's not
non-disclosure,
like
yeah.
what you guys do.
They just fill it up out of the sink or the canal or river, whatever they want.
Right,
They're regulated by the FDA, not by the EPA.
right, and
So
that's
they just
scary,
do-
because there's a lot of chemicals and things that
Yeah.
are not banned here.
They'll do a grab sample and they usually take the first bottle off the first run after they just cleaned the plant.
Yep.
Sample it, and then they can run, I don't know how many bottles it is, another 100,000.
Because I've
Yeah,
seen
monthly, however
several
many they
that
can
run
consume
out
a month.
too when you get it sometimes, like I knew that it wasn't the best option, if you have someone doing what you're doing compared to a water bottle, that tap water would be way,
Well, and the other thing is the
Right.
cost, you know?
Yes.
You get the
You know,
plastic and the
When,
water.
once you pay your base rate, you're paying, less than a cent a gallon for water.
Then
Out of the
a tenth
town.
of us.
Right.
And it's continually monitored.
right, that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
In another life, and I won't say who, but I was a plumber, and there was one of the large bottled water filtration companies that, you see advertised all the time, the people that own the local franchise that's on TV and got his kids on TV with him now all the time, really good friends of mine. But I plumbed their bottled water plant in Fort Myers. And that water comes directly off of the Lee County utility main, and
They just park
they
it.
sell that as
Charcoal
mineralized
filter.
spring water.
It's a spring,
It's a
you know?
spring.
Yeah, there's a spring in there somewhere.
Comes up out of that well, that's the spring, right? So,
Oh my goodness.
But that's all based on the infrastructure too. If you lived
Right.
in Flint, Michigan, I would probably drink this water.
Right, and I remember, I think it was Orlando when I was there, I remember being like, people were like, do not drink the tap water. Like certain places you can tell there's a taste or something, so maybe they don't have the highest standards, I don't know, but I'm sure everywhere is not
well, and
The same.
water taste is subjective.
true.
What you like and what I like and what you like and what you like are all gonna be different.
Right,
I mean, if everybody's tastes were the same, there'd be one brand of soda, one brand of beer, one brand of whiskey.
right.
But everybody's tastes are a little different, so, that's kind of subjective sometimes. Now, is what everybody dislikes is having that chlorine taste and odor.
Right,
And then one of the things that you will see on TV sometimes is depending on the system, sometimes annually, biannually, triannually, we'll have to do what we call a free burn, even though we normally use chloramines, like we said. Well, because we're adding that ammonia in there, sometimes that ammonia will actually become in demand on the chlorine itself, and it'll actually allow a biofilm to grow in the pipes far down the lines. So we'll do a free burn where we turn the ammonia feed off and we're just feeding the chlorine, so then everybody's up in arms because, they can taste or smell the chlorine all of a sudden for a
right.
month.
I have seen that somewhere,
Yeah.
and that's what I was wondering with residents, is there a way you communicate with them, or work with the HOA, like, hey, don't flush this down? Cause I used to live in Bonita and they had their own utilities and they would send emails all the time,
Yep.
they were older people, they don't flush your dentures down, whatever it is, like,
Yeah.
let's not throw anything down there. Is there a way that you communicate with them to educate them?
They do, the administration office hands out a pamphlet when they move in,
Right,
which explains what not to flush down the
Right.
toilet, the backflow preventer, the responsibility of the homeowner.
so I guess if it gets like a worse problem, then you would have to maybe do something like a reminder or something if it becomes like a major.
Yeah, when and we do that periodically, and then
Right.
as well as like rate change time when they're like, then we just show them the video with Sandy Hernandez in there,
Right.
it's like, hey, they're paying $2.5 million a year
Yeah,
on this.
wake up. Yeah.
I got a friend in New York, and not too long ago, they actually had to completely replace, at the tune of a little over $5 million, one lift station because of wipes,
Wow.
so.
Ugh.
Because
I
the
think we should
submersible
work with that,
pumps are
right,
water
it's
cooled.
okay to say
So that steel housing, the water hits the steel housing and that dissipates the heat. Well, the wipes start piling up around there, and then it starts insulating it away from the water, and then it gets hot and hot and hot and hot, and then all of a sudden a little bit of water got in there, and so it crystallized, poof. So you got, a 250 horsepower, 460 volt three-phase pump that just got a bunch of water shot right into the electrical winding. So it actually exploded the pump,
Oh my gosh.
took the other two pumps out, blew a hole in the side of the wet well at the bottom, and then blew the top off.
And you
Wow.
can't cut that rag
That's-
water with a razor knife, I mean, it is so
Yeah.
thick
Oh
and.
gosh, that's crazy.
And like once it does go through a pump, it's like they're ionically attracted to one another, like they're literally like Velcro, they'll come back together. and they'll just tie into rags and strings and ropes, and it's pretty
Not,
sturdy.
yeah.
It's tough.
So,
Excuse me. You're saying that, earlier that there's a lot of things in the water, the minerals and stuff,
Mhm.
that if we take it all out, that we're doing harm to us.
yes,
So, the bottled water versus tap water, is it beneficial to drink the tap water or to drink the bottled water? Are we being just hyped by, buy the bottled water, and then you hear, don't buy the bottled water,
It's
you
just
can
more
drink the tap.
convenient.
But if we do drink the tap water, are we more beneficial to do that? Is it more beneficial?
I mean, I would be remiss if I said yes or no either way on that, because it's
Right.
gonna be different everywhere, and it's gonna be different based on the bottled water you're drinking, so,
Okay.
you'd have to do a comparative analysis on all of it to
Right.
be able to
Are
see
they
that.
putting,
Our water doesn't
Something
taste
science
good though,
project.
Mm-hmm.
they wouldn't serve, it just doesn't taste good.
Yeah, pure RO, the
There's
only people that
absolutely
do
no
that
taste.
is if you go to like GNC or one of them places and they're trying to tell you that, hey, you're building muscle, do this,
right.
and stuff like that.
So are they putting the minerals in this water
Yes,
that
there's
we're
minerals
drinking?
in
So
there.
we're
Yeah,
still.
most of it is just,
Mhm.
like, I can't say for that one, but I can say for a similar brand that it is literally just tap water that's gone through a softener.
It says naturally sourced, so it sounds nice.
It's all naturally sourced.
And then it's in plastic, which we.
I've dealt with water a long time and I've never seen,
Artificial.
artificial
Yeah.
water.
Ingredients and bad stuff for you.
Since we're talking about water, there's this big hype about, what is it, the electrolytes in the water. Is that just,
Good or bad?
By Gatorade.
Right?
We don't test for electrolytes in our water, so I mean, that's,
There's a brand called Life, and it
there's a whole bunch of them now, Smart Water, Life Water, actually, I think this is
Just
a bottle
increase the
of
ability of
water.
the cells to absorb the water.
and they talk about alkaline water and low pH water and, we're, one of our limitations that we have to maintain is we have to be between 6.5 and an 8.5 pH on our water. So like some of the bottled waters, they sell it as 9 or 9.5 pH alkali water, and really all that is where they've added a little bit of lime, they've added some more mineral back to it, calcium carbonate.
So if you lived in Collier County, would you add, is there a benefit to adding a water softening system, or is
Not
it okay to drink?
If
the
you don't like the chlorine
water?
taste, maybe a charcoal filter.
Yeah, if you don't like the chlorine taste and odor, then you could put in an activated carbon filter, charcoal filter, stuff like that. Not for all of the, tinfoil hat reasons, but I just don't care for fluoride being put in my water, and they do fluoridate, but there's really nothing that you can do to pull that out. But I mean, a softener it'll help you at just your house, but again, if you have copper pipes and stuff, I wouldn't put a softener on city water, just because it is taking that mineral out. A softener takes out calcium carbonate, which is lime, and that's what gives you the hard water spots, and that's what gives you the little white scale inside your pipe. So if you take that out, then you're not scaling your copper pipe. So not that for what little bit you'd be drinking at home is going to be detrimental to you health wise, but it will be detrimental to your plumbing system, and nobody wants to come home to a flood.
So it's not, unhealthy, or it's not bad for you to drink the chlorine water?
No.
I call it chlorine water.
They
because
they test that water too.
Yeah. I mean, if the chlorine in the water bothers you, you can get a carbon filter. All the sales pitch companies are gonna try to sell you this $5,000 system, and all you really need is an activated carbon filter, and that takes the taste and odor of the chlorine out.
Is that what's in your fridge, or is that something different, like those $50
Depends on
filters
fridge.
that you
Or
buy?
Brita or any of those
Yeah,
things.
Yeah.
but those filters, you need those in your fridge, right? Or do you not? Cause
Most
that could be saving
refrigerators-
money.
Well, you put them in your
Yeah.
fridge because what's, the stuff that works in your ice maker is very tiny little passages.
Uh-huh.
So you wanna make sure that you've got a filter in line before that, simply
Right.
so that you can pick up any sediment that's rolling around in there, because it'll create
So it
damage
is good for that,
to
yeah.
your issue, to your ice maker, and
Mhm.
you don't want issues there. There's,
Right.
some of them, like the one that we have, it's come with a carbon filter, but I live on well water, so I don't need a carbon filter, I don't have chlorine, so, we had to look around and do some research, but then we just got a pleated paper cartridge that goes in there, just for sediment, so.
Just change it.
Right.
You should change it
Every
like
6 months,
every
whatever.
year or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on how often you use it and all that
Right.
stuff, so. Yeah, if I don't change mine, it'll quit working, then my kids will quit opening the door.
Yes.
So back to wastewater treatment, and we were talking about our filters. We have many different types of wastewater filters, but we utilize a shallow bed sand media filter with a traveling bridge backwash. And it's just like it sounds. It's got a bridge on there that's got 2 railroad tracks at either side, and it just drives back and forth, and it's got pumps that pull the water backwards through the media as it backwashes, and that all happens automatically. The water flows by gravity from the clarifier to the filter, where water is fed to the top of the sand bed. Water percolates through the media, leaving behind any suspended solids. As the solids gather, the water level rises, triggering an automatic backwash. When the water leaves the filters, it must have less than 5 milligrams per liter of suspended solids. That's one of our compliance things that is continually monitored. We actually monitor it, our turbidity, not actually in suspended solids. We monitor it in what's called NTU, or net flammaric turbidity units, which is just some weird thing, but that's continually monitored. And if that goes out for any significant period of time, I think we have a 30-second delay on that, but for more than 30 seconds, everything rejects and it doesn't go to reclaim anymore.
It works automatically most of the time.
So sand is a good filter, really.
It's not the best, it's the most common because of
Mine, right.
efficiency and just money mostly.
And there's different size grains of sand as it goes down.
Yeah.
Like it's coarser on the top and it gets finer as it
It
goes
gets
down.
finer,
Mhm.
yeah.
And then the final stop in the treatment process is our chlorine contact chamber, because that's a short flight there, so we'll make that one happen again. We go from the filters over to the chlorine contact chamber, and you see how it kind of zigzags around in there? And the reason for that is to increase detention time, increase contact time with the chlorine. As the name implies, it's where the treated water has adequate contact time with chlorine before leaving the site, and the chlorine is used to disinfect the water, neutralizing viruses and bacteria. And then if you notice at the very back edge, we've got these 2 purple pumps. Anytime you see that color in the field, that's reclaimed irrigation water. So that's why that's the first time you see purple in this whole video, is because that's the first time that we've made it to a point where it is reclaimed irrigation water. From
So
there, it gets pumped over to our reclaimed storage pond.
So is that gray water?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
Mm.
like gray water on like an RV, that's your shower water. But yeah, I mean, some people call it gray water, some people call it reuse, some people call it reclaim. You know, we call it third stage profit.
But it meets,
Yeah, charge again.
it meets a secondary drinking water standards.
Yeah.
When it meets the plant.
When I was at Severn Trent, we consulted on a project for a facility that they were talking about building in Vietnam. And it was basically gonna be the wastewater plant had to treat basically to the same standards we treat to at Ave. And then instead of sending it out to irrigation, it was just gonna get sent into the RO. Because the wastewater, we figured we could make the wastewater better than their surface water they were pulling out of the river that they were getting there. So, and everybody says, well, that toilet to tap is coming everywhere. And if you take any trips out to California, and that really bothers you, then you should probably take some bottled water, because they're building facilities to do that right now.
It's all in the same unit.
Yep.
No, I'm just kidding.
So, we treat the water adequately enough.
Yeah, it's on the street side.
So we treat the water adequately enough to send it back out to the community to be sold as reclaimed irrigation water. In order to achieve this, we must meet compliance criteria for carbonaceous biochemical oxygen demand, total suspended solids, fecal coliform bacteria, and chlorine residual, which is continuously monitored. We treat about 400,000 gallons per day of wastewater.
About how much is that per household?
I'd have to do the
There's
math.
1,900 potable connections. It's about 2,000 per house per
Yeah,
month.
the engineering guideline is
Per
100
month.
gallons
Per day.
per person per day. So like when we're having to engineer based on, we know we're getting this many people and we're figuring 2.5 people per house, it's figured at 100 gallons per person per day. But sometimes some of the newer numbers are going down on that because of all of the flow saving stuff. And honestly, the flow saving stuff really doesn't help us at the plant that much, because we're still getting the same amount of all the other stuff, but now it makes the concentration go higher because we're getting less water.
Less water.
One of the issues that a lot of people have been arguing about is, but we have to measure on concentration. And we're all saying, well, how about we do away with this concentration and just give us an actual volume, you know? So instead of milligrams per liter, say pounds per day. But the DEP has yet to allow us to do that, so we have to continue having a tighter and tighter concentrations coming in, but our effluent restrictions don't change, and in most cases, they're getting tighter. So it is very difficult sometimes. So the water saving devices, they're definitely a good thing, but they do create more concern for us at the treatment end as well. We have to stay up to date on ever-changing rules, regulations, and laws. We're governed by Florida Department of Environmental Protection, South Florida Water Management District, Collier County Pollution Control, Collier County Health Department, and US EPA. Those are just the ones that we deal with on a regular basis. We have several others that always want to put their hand in the pie too. So all of our operators are licensed in one or more industry disciplines: water treatment plant operator, wastewater treatment plant operator, and water distribution system operator. And then I can take a break and Tim can talk.
All right. Sit down, John. Good job. All right, maintenance, my favorite subject. Albemarle Utility Company recognizes the benefit of preventive maintenance, prolonged lifespan of staggering rate of assets we utilize and produce and manage water. So we try to be proactive instead of reactive. In our industry, it serves us better that way. We do a lot of testing to predetermine the ends of lives of these devices that we take care of. Sometimes it seems, you know, it does cost a lot of money, but it would cost a lot more if we run it to fail, because then it'd be, you know, there'd be some other fatalities too when you run it to fail.
We try to make it where there's no downtime associated with it. You know, if we know that it's coming, then we can do everything we can to mitigate that downtime.
Yeah, and that's where the redundancy comes into place, because if one's down, we always have that other one to back us up. We currently have full-time maintenance staff of 4. We perform tasks from simple as housekeeping and meter turns on to diagnosing, you know, the problems in the motors, the 460 volt motors, and the issues at the 20 pump stations that we take care of, which process rags regularly. Repairing and replacing complex critical instrumentation components, so there's a lot of controls involved, as you could imagine, at the plant. We have to keep with all those.
All of that stuff where we say that we continuously monitor, like our NTUs and our chlorine and stuff, if any of those fail, we go to reject on the wastewater side, or, you know, we have to go to a precautionable water notice community-wide on the water side. So that stuff, you know, although it sounds insignificant, that's some of the most major stuff that we have to make sure is always working and online.
Yeah, and as big as that reject plumb looks on video, it fills up fast. We can't even use the full depth of it. Anyways, and then at some point that would back up the plant, so we never want to see that happen. We don't want to see that happen. Maintenance crew is on call and available for emergency response treatment facility 24/7. Every single day we're on call. Anything happens, we get some real ridiculous calls, as you can imagine. We try to filter through those patiently.
I dropped my keys in the storm drain.
Yeah. But still, we'll still respond just to protect our assets and make sure the utility's safe. In addition to maintenance, AMUC staff also conducts inspection testing of all new utility infrastructure, pipes and equipment required for the town's development. So we go out when the underground contractors finish their installations or during the process and make sure they're putting in new pipe, the correct fittings. We go do pressure testing on all the mains. We also test for groundwater infiltration in the gravity sewer, so we're not processing a bunch of groundwater. And just making sure everything gets completed and is visually pleasing at the end too for our customers.
You do that for every home?
Yeah.
Every new home?
Every home, yep. There's we do them in phases, so we'll do a section of a development at a time. They'll go get it ready, they'll prepare all the meter boxes, the clean out pads, valve pads. They all have brass ID tags that are associated with them.
From the meter or the clean out to the house, that's on the plumber.
Yes.
And Collier
We just go to the
County
meter box, that's
inspectors.
it.
Cause we had a homeowner that, brand new home and everything was backing out through there.
That happens a lot. A lot of it is tile grout and paint.
Yeah.
The contractors wash that down the line, it gets stuck in that 4-inch line and builds up, and it doesn't take much for it to cause a backup.
Yeah, the tile grout and the drywall mud, the drywall guys say, oh, I'm gonna take this bucket home today, so they'll just put some water in there and rinse the mud out and just dump it down
In
one
the
of the
shower.
drains.
In the shower.
And then it sits there and hardens, and then everything backs up behind it.
Then the painter washes their brush and it sticks to the concrete, and then
So then, in another life, I was a plumber and I dealt with that every single day. Every
So
day.
there's nothing really that can be done right before the homeowner comes in to make sure those are all flushed out?
well, the nice
Well,
thing
not
is
by us,
Well,
that's on the
yeah.
builder.
Just,
it's increases in size. So we do. It comes 4 inch from the house. As soon as it hits the point of connection, we increase to a 6 inch. So that greatly reduces the odds of it clogging up there. It usually always
Yeah,
happens at the 4 inch.
that all
Then it goes
happens
to 8
in the
inch. It
house.
always increases in size. Of pipe.
Yeah, that's on the developer, on the builder, they should be the ones in there doing that. I mean, personally, when I was plumbing before any walkthrough happened, we would go through and run everything for 25 minutes. I turned the whole house on for 25 minutes to make sure we didn't have any issues, but again, that's 25 minutes of labor, somebody's gotta eat somewhere, and where everybody's looking at that bottom line, a lot of people aren't doing that.
All right. How you move next one? All right. Although Almeria is comparatively a small utility, we must keep many facets of the business organized. Organization is key, especially in maintenance. This includes things like AMUC system regulatory compliance, AMUC system predictive maintenance, which is fixing things or while they're running, so there's no downtime. Vendor payables, contract services, CCPS, and hopefully more in the near future. Right? Permit upgrades, renewals, meter reading and billing, which you just got a system in place where they can do that from the office now. Hallelujah. And customer service.
Can you tell them how long it used to take you to read meters?
It would almost take us 2 full days. Yeah, and now they can almost do it instantaneously, except for the meter. We sell about 400 Elster Amcos, which are analog meters, which don't report, and we're changing those out as fast as we can. So the girls can actually go on the computer in real time and see what's going on at all the houses. We've caught like 3 or 4 toilet leaks in the last month just based off this system. So we can call the homeowner with a courtesy call and say, we're not sure what's going on, but we see abnormal use. Typically this amount is toilet, or because they know just by experience that certain flow rates are associated with certain appurtenances in the house. These and many other functions are performed by Ave Maria Utility Company's administrative staff, which we have one of the best in the world at Ave Maria. This including the people here that help us. The AMUC office and its administrative staff in the Ave Maria Town Court is the face of the company to the community. And they do a great job communicating with people out there. They really enjoy coming in. They'll even bring their pets, and when family members end up come by to see Betsy and Amanda, that's pretty cool. So who pays for all of this? The residents, as well as the commercial consumers, pay for the cost of water production, treatment, and the service that is associated with that through their water bill. Even though the increases aren't taken so well, a lot of those people just haven't done the research, because those increases have always been in place for, I don't know how long, but a long time. And that's just to keep up with, the aging infrastructure and the aging equipment. And the inflation of everything. Our Marine Utility Company also provides contract operations and maintenance of 7 facilities for the Collier County Public Schools, which there again, we take great pride in the work, especially because we have to serve the children. It is, and Sean does a really good job of keeping that on the straight and narrow. Though many adversities come down the road to him.
My job is basically the administrator for that contract, is basically just trying to save the client from themselves most days.
Yes.
Yeah,
There's a war inside of that.
implosion.
We're always looking to the horizon for additional contract operations and opportunities, and that's where Sean with his networking is, hopefully will score some really nice contracts here in the near future.
Right.
So here you go, this is what y'all were waiting to see, right?
A lot of
Money,
dollars.
money.
That's how we pay for it, 1 meter at a time.
Like I said, we have about 1,900 potable, about 1,100. Oh, you have that slide, don't you?
Yes, a couple slides up.
So that's you guys can do the math based on 3,000. I would just times that by 3,000 also. So. And then some of it's based on usage too, so by the end.
Yeah, and you know, we have figures where we, do a region comparative, and, you know, we're always high middle. You know, we're nowhere near the highest, we're nowhere near the lowest. We're usually right there on the high side of the middle three or so. And that's actually on that one.
But as far as product, we're the top.
Yeah.
Very top. You guys good with that slide? Alright, we treat 430,000 gallons per day of potable water with membrane filtration with a permitted capacity of 0.999 million gallons per day. We treat 400,000 gallons per day of wastewater with extended aeration activated sludge process. We are permitted to 0.9 million gallons per day. We sell an average of 1.6 million gallons of irrigation water daily. It's every day. Reclaimed wastewater is supplemented with wells. We just don't make enough. We can only supply enough reclaim now to almost, not even half of the community
You
can
know,
be
so
served.
you see the difference there, you know, 400,000 minus 1.6, that's all, you know, so the difference we have to make up with wells.
Yeah. We have 10 operators that hold a total of 18 licenses at Ave Maria, which is nice for vacation purposes. Ave Maria Utility Company,
Ish.
yeah,
I had to come home with my vacation,
Yeah.
but
everybody else is good. Recognized 3.4 million in revenue, plus an additional 600,000 from contract operations in 18.
and that contract operations, that's our Collier Schools contract.
So it's a nice, cool 4 million. Ave Maria Utility Company has had no disruption after Irma. We talked a little bit about that before. We're very proud of that. People still thank us today. I still see people in the grocery store and they'll still say thank you. I'm just like, for what? Oh, for Irma. We could still take showers and we can still go to the bathroom. Thank you. So that's my job. So here's a stats of our connections.
These are our most current. Tammy gave me these on the 15th, so. At the far end, that 111, those are homes that are under construction, but they're far enough along that they've already asked for construction meters so that they have water hooked up for the construction process. So that'll put that 1,920 at this end up over 2,000 very soon.
Which is good. That's when a lot of the big vendors will start, about 2,000, 2,500, the big vendors will want to start moving into town. McDonald's, Burger King. Not that that's good, but it's good for them.
What was the other? 2000?
Yeah, usually
2,500.
Yeah, 2,000 to 2,500, they start getting interested.
You've got 1920 residential water and sewer connections, but there's only 1184 residential irrigation connections. Why is that?
The Del Webb community, we sell them through a master meter. So we sell Del Webb through a huge meter, and they do all the distribution and maintenance on their own system.
Because each one of the phases is, you know, they're their own HOA and their own little deal, so everybody works their own deal out, so.
So there'll be more commercial also, hopefully.
Oh,
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's actually a couple construction projects going out there right now. We have the storage facility going on out there right
Yeah.
now.
They're doing bores for the fire department. They're the first response station, which is going to be big.
Then you have the hospital.
The hospital,
maybe?
yeah.
Would you guys service the hospital, even though it's like? not-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We service Arthrex, yeah.
Gotcha.
Northbridge, yeah.
What else is going on? Oh yeah, I think Lennar's coming out to do some
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be good.
Whole nother section.
Golf course, another golf course.
Do you guys try to regulate like what they use on their herbicides, pesticides?
Collier County Pollution Control actually has put together an ordinance that everybody in the county has to abide by. So, but at this point is how that works is we basically do pull our samples and then we give that information to them and then they have to figure out how to conduct themselves based on
Compliance.
what they're getting from us with our water. Because it's a total nitrogen limit, so whatever we send them, they'll have to either increase or decrease their dosage based on what we're giving them in the water already. But once it leaves our facility, I mean, once it goes through our meter, we really can't do anything with it. You know, we don't have any control over it, so that part is all on the guys that are using that at the golf courses and the landscape crews.
Yeah.
You know, I said earlier, the Finnish wastewater meets secondary drinking water standards, so why do you guys think that all the boxes say do not drink? You guys have any idea why?
The box is contaminated.
Have you ever seen the signs that say reclaimed water, do not drink, big problems?
Oh, yeah.
So if it meets drinking water standards, why wouldn't you be able to drink it? You guys have any idea?
Mm-hmm.
We ship it to a lake. When it goes out of the pipe into the lake, it is good. But once it sits in the lake, it's subject to we don't know what fish, alligator.
If you
Like-
watch this, you'll
like
get to see the lake
Okeechobee.
further.
So this is a great video.
This is really good footage here.
And Jared, hopefully we can do this like in year increments and see
Sure.
the development. This would be great. If you save that mission, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, this video actually shows you the entire scope of Ave Maria.
The entire
And we get to
community.
see the whole community. But yeah, like Tim was saying, it goes out to storage ponds and then from there, it gets pumped out. And, you know, we definitely have no control over water in the storage pond.
Right.
So if we have a problem, we have to fix it before this gets about halfway up.
Yeah, that is our reject capacity if the wastewater plant has an upset.
That's what you said gets filled up fast.
Yeah, if that's full, no good.
Now, that plastic that's on that capacity there,
Yeah, on the side
how
here.
often do you guys, does it require to be replaced or maintained or?
I don't know what the lifespan is.
Yeah,
I think it's
I mean,
100 years or.
Yeah,
50 years.
that's not like this queen. I mean, that's really thick and it's heat bonded
Like a
together.
wall.
It's like literally
Okay.
plastic welded together and stuff. So, the only time I've ever seen those have issues is where, you know, a piece of equipment or, you know, somebody with an implement actually hit it and so then it's had to be repaired, but I've never seen one replaced.
And then they'll come kind of weld a piece in there. They take the
Yeah.
plastic and melt it in.
Okay.
It's pretty thick and resilient. And UV resistant because it's been there for. What a great perspective.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good job, Jerry.
Yeah, the
Nice
real estate
aerial.
department would love this thing, I would imagine.
He's selling copies.
Oh. He's gonna be famous.
So like this pond up here in the center of the screen now, that's one of our irrigation ponds.